It was a little after 10, just a few minutes after 10, and I got up and whispered in his ear. I said, Randy, I said, are you still fighting for me? Because he had told me from the very beginning, he's always been a fighter. And he said, I will fight. Don't give up on me, and I will fight. And I never gave up on him. I really thought that he's going to walk out of that hospital healthy. So I leaned down and I said, Randy, are you still fighting? And he said, fight. I had wanted to see, if he did pass away, I wanted to see his last breath. But that wasn't God's plan. When he told me he was fighting, I stood up. I said, all right, boys. I said, let's get busy. Let's start praying. And I turned around and I sat on the bed with him. And I started praying. And the boys started praying. And the Holy Ghost came down in that room. And Andrew said he watched. You know, his daddy had always told him, said, watch and pray. And that's what him and Scott was doing, was watching and praying. And Andrew said he seen when he went, and he was gone. Death angel didn't come for him. Angels didn't come for him. At 11 minutes after 10 on the 18th of January 2020, the Holy Ghost took him home. And for that, I'm very thankful. It didn't go the way we wanted. But I know he's not hurting. I know he's not suffering. It was 3 months of torment. And he's not having to endure any of that anymore. I can, in my mind, see him enjoying heaven. There was a childlikeness about him that I loved, and I can see that, enjoying every bit of heaven. There was a lot of nurses. And if I start naming names, I'm liable in texts and housekeeping and doctors and nurses, physicians assistants, physician's assistant. If I name them all, I might miss somebody, but I'll tell you what, those nurses are amazing. They were going to move us hospice up to the 8th floor with hospice. We'd asked could we stay till after Christmas. They moved us to a bigger room to accommodate our family, and then they let us stay. They said they knew it would be hard on their staff, but they were going to keep us there with them. And we love them. We had techs that would bring me breakfast, would come into our room and say this was our happy place. Stuffed animals. They brought us a cross that lit up for Christmas. Just all kind of things for the young'uns and Randy, and hats and stuff, and just their friendship and their love so much. The nurses. I have to tell you, these 2 crazy nuts, and I'm going to say their names because I know at least one of them's watching, and maybe both of them. But Isabel and Amy were nuts. Amy started out, she likes riddles, and so Randy would get riddles from Scott, our oldest son, and tell them to Amy. Sometimes she'd get them, sometimes she wouldn't. One of them was, I'm in the corner, but I go all over the world. What am I? She didn't get it. I don't think she did. It was a stamp on a letter. It's in the corner, it goes all over the world. But this one night, they had gotten us a geriatric, I think I'm saying that right, bed. It was a little bit bigger. Well, it didn't look that much bigger than the one he had, because there was times he would scoot over and I would get in the bed with him. And they had brought the bed in, and it ended up, he wasn't in it 5 minutes and his back started hurting, so they had to bring the bed back in. So then they brought in a bigger chair. And the first night, oh, it hurt me. I have sciatic nerve in my leg that bothers me, and it really was acting up. Well, I said, well, maybe the next night I'll just get used to it, and I'll it'll be better. Well, the next night was even worse, and at 3 o'clock I was up crying, and he said, well, call the nurse. I said, well, I'm not going to do that. 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm the sleeping person, not up moving. They are at work, and I know, but not. Everything's supposed to be quiet at 3 o'clock in the morning. And so he mashed the button and he called the nurse, and his nurse was Isabella. But Amy they said, Mr. Shumpert never calls us. Amy told Isabella, I'm going with you to see what's going on. So they come running in, and he said, could y'all take that chair out? And so here at 3 o'clock in the morning, they had to slide his bed over, and then pull the chair out and then get me the chair back. And they did that. Those two crazy nuts, they were so funny. They still funny. I love them to death. But one little nurse, Veronica, her day off, she came to see Randy. And that was so sweet. And she was the one that had told me to call the family in, and I knew it was rough on her. But she was just such a blessing. And Rochelle, Zakiria, Valerie, Sam, y'all are great techs. But better off, y'all are great people. If y'all are seeing this, we love y'all. We had so many nurses and staff that we made friends with. Ashley, if you're watching this with your little boys, we love y'all. Cooper, Maddox, y'all got a great mama. Ashley was a friend, not just a nurse. She would think about us when she wasn't at the hospital. And I didn't have so many of them like that. But she'd bring me in things to try to help me do low keto type Trim Healthy Mama. That's how we met. We both liked Trim Healthy Mama. And we met in Randy's room, but we started connecting when we found out about Trim Healthy Mama. She'd come on her days off and bring her boys. And it's just such sweet little boys. And she made Randy sweet potato casserole. And it was good, he said. He liked it. When we put the sign on the door, when he passed away, after he passed, we, had to have our moment. I called the nurse back in, they checked him. So once we got through, we took the note down and we told them if the nurses want to come in, they could come in. And so you just would not believe. Now this is on the weekend, this is not a weekday. But this is the weekend nurses. You would not believe a line of nurses and techs and housekeeping that came in to pay their condolences. And we love you all so very much. So very much. after they left, I, when we started calming down, I was able to give Randy his last bath. It was the last thing I could do for him, and I did it loving. Suzanne, I want to thank you for being a great friend. Suzanne was working, and we got to talking, and she got talking about YouTube, and I got talking about YouTube, and we ended up telling her that we had a little channel, and she was the first one in the hospital to subscribe, and so we just made friends, and I love you. You've been a great friend, and I want to thank you. Like I said, there's just so many. He would walk around the hall, and they would just hug him. One nurse, she seen his prayer cloth that was on his gown, and she said she knew exactly what it was. A lot of people don't know what they are. She said, "Can I have some?" So they got her some and gave them to her. But she would, when she was there with him, she'd come in and hug him, and then at the end of the day, she'd hug him again. And it's just the friendship that was made. And it's like that, there was any given day, there were mornings that we constantly had a stream of nurses and techs and housekeeping come in. Well, they don't call it housekeeping, they call it human resources. But and other people working all over the hospital would just come in and visit with us. And the tall red-headed woman, she's not tall and she's not red-headed, but she's Tara, and she was the nurse that came in, the wound nurse, and such a friendship, and I cherish it. I told the boys, of course there's that loss of Randy, and the grief that we are dealing with. My son told me yesterday, this is the 29th or the 30th, I can't keep them straight. But he played the song that was played at my husband's funeral, "Heaven Just Got Sweeter for You." And my 3-year-old grandson cried for an hour. Had him crying, had his wife crying, and had his oldest little girl crying because he missed Granddaddy. The dog's out there howling, and I know she's missing him. He's everywhere. Can't go somewhere in town, you don't have a memory there with him. You can't go outside, there's memories, wonderful memories everywhere. But we just didn't lose Randy, for 3 months, every single day, and even at the end, day and night, at that hospital. And that family that you develop, the relationship you develop with everyone there, we still talk, but we don't see them every day. And I know it was hard on them as well, going back into that room, because I talked to one of the techs, and I knew it was going to be, and I was praying for him, and she said we had to go back, and she said it was just so hard with him not being in there. And I totally understand that. We had his funeral last week, and a friend of ours came from Louisiana to preach it. So some of my film got cut off on the computer. I don't know what happened, so I'm just doing this little section over. Our preacher friend of ours that come from Louisiana, he said, "I've been doing this a long time." He said, he had never seen this many nurses come to a funeral. And that just meant a lot to us, because we saved the second pew right behind us. We saved that for any nurses that was going to come. And so it was just about completely full with nurses. And so we just thank the Lord for that friendship. And we love y'all. And until we can see you again, y'all take care. I want to share this with y'all. The nurse Amy, she made this and brought this to Randy's funeral. And hopefully you'll be seeing a lot more of this, because we're going to have it in our opening. But was that not beautiful? Randy would have cherished that. I know I do. I have to tell you, when the boys told me that they had brought a sign over, I seen it, and I immediately, before the service started, I went up to the front where Randy's coffin was, and I held it up, and because so many there knows about Shumpert's Hill on YouTube, and so I held it up and I said, for all of you that know about Shumpert's Hill, one of the nurses made this. I was so proud. And Leah, my daughter-in-law, said, Miss Jan, if they don't know you're their mama, you acted just like a proud mama. And I was proud. That was beautiful. And thank you, Amy, so much. Thank you. God bless. I filmed this other little section, and I didn't know it. I can't read a thing without my glasses, so that's why I have to wear the glasses even to do the video, because I can't work the camera without glasses on, because I'm just blind. Anyway, I didn't realize it until I seen the sign, and down at the bottom it says Third Surgical Family, and so that was so beautiful, and so I just wanted to tell y'all that.
Well, go ahead.
You go ahead.
You go ahead.
I always talk.
I know. Well, we...
You know.
That's all right. That's a good thing.
Go ahead.
I forgot what I was going to say now.
Well, we're enjoying ourselves.
Yes, we are.